everybody? Grunge Bible is back as we welcome you into episode 64 of the Grunge Bible podcast. This is Chris Salona speaking to you, as well as Ethan Shalloway. He's in the room as always. Ethan, how the hell are you?
I'm doing really well, Chris. Yeah, it's a really nice day. We've had just had a little afternoon shower, which is good. We needed the rain, you know?
Yeah, you need that rain sometimes.
It's been about 8 to 10 days with just hot, no rain. So
it's no good.
Yeah, so I like watching the puddles gather. So, you know, it's we're doing well.
That's very good. I love that.
Yeah, man, energy levels are high. Energy levels are high today. I'm excited to talk some music, a little bit of banter with you. I love checking in. Speaking of checking in, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. Things are good. We're recording this on a Friday, end of the week. We made it through another one. I'm going to have a relaxing weekend this weekend, I believe. We're getting a little bit
quote relaxing weekend.
That's what the forecast is saying right now. But as we know, those storms can pop up, and next thing you know, you get through the weekend having like 3 hours of cumulative sleep. So we'll see what this brings. But I got
radar's
options.
Clear right now, but that doesn't mean that
it
at
can
the end of the
happen
week,
fast.
Yeah, storms pop
brewing.
up. Yeah.
You never really know. But yeah, I feel really good. I'm excited that we're able to do this.
Yeah,
I'm not.
We're getting ahead. I think
we're
that's
getting ahead. Yeah,
excited.
it's early. It's only it's June 3rd today. This episode's coming out on June 13th. So we're gonna teleport into the future here for a little bit. But yeah, this is nice. We tend to record. There's never one specific day or even time of day that we record, but I feel like right now I don't have any imminent obligations for the rest of the day. Really, I feel fairly relaxed and fairly calm, and I'm excited to do this today. This is great. I love it.
Yeah. You love when inspiration hits, and this will give us. I think we're gonna get ahead, so then we can have a little more freedom for hopefully getting some people on the podcast, a couple different voices in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
that is our goal. So it helps when we can bank a few of these, just me and you. So I noticed your shirt,
nothing will get a
Chris.
podcaster feeling good about themselves than having some product in the bank, and that's what we're doing.
Absolutely, Chris. I see your shirt. I want to point that out to all the followers.
This is very important right here.
This is an important shirt. It is a Life is Happy shirt. Chris and I both have one. He has bright sky blue, and I have sun yellow. I should have worn mine, but I didn't get the memo. But that is a great shirt, and it's a great reminder that life is happy.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful Friday, and we are very thankful.
Yeah,
I think we're very thankful.
So you've had this shirt for a long time, and I remember you had one, and I was like, I'm gonna get myself one of those because life is happy. So I got this maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, and then I went through a period of my life of maybe about a year and a half where I didn't wear the shirt because life was not happy for me for a little bit. But if I break out this shirt, things are pretty good. So yeah, life's happy. That's really all there is to it.
Yeah.
Life is happy.
That's awesome. So today on the docket, no appeal on the docket, but
none whatsoever.
When we are going to get into some random band music talk, bands that we listen to too much, bands that we don't listen to enough, bands that we are reluctant to listen to, and kind of jump all around into like how you get into listening to music and what that turns into, and then all of a sudden you get really annoyed with a band, so you stop listening. So kind of the ebbs and flows of listening to music. But before we do that, we do have some people to thank and some incredible support that we need to ask of you. Basically,
absolutely.
Here's the time where we ask you to give us your time,
the
money,
of the
and
program. You guys, all know the
if you want to use the
now.
fast forward button, you can do that. But if you don't, please
if you'd
hear
like
our
to
plea.
listen, you know how to help us by now. I know I'm speaking to you right now, and I know you're out there. You're listening.
James, we're talking to you.
James, Bill, whoever's out there, I'm talking directly to you. You've been listening for a while. You like the podcast. It makes you happy when this is in your podcast inbox on Monday. If you like the show, couple dollars, Patreon, $2 a month. That's all it takes to get into the Patreon, to show some support to us. and to keep this podcast rolling. And I know we have many people who have decided to do that so far. We're very, very thankful for that, and we'd be very thankful for you. I'm talking to you right now. We'd be very thankful.
You said you would join last week. We heard you.
You thought about it, but you didn't have your wallet on you, so you didn't want to go get your credit card, and then you forgot about it.
My code. I remember my code.
Now here's your reminder. You didn't feel like filling out the field, but you got some time today. You've got the next hour of Grunge Bible podcast. You can listen and join at the same time. I have faith in your cognitive abilities for that. And we have some great examples of people who not only have joined, but have joined at the top tier and continue to sustain this podcast. And now is the time where we would like to thank them. And their names are Rachel Corning, Fuck Soup, Doug Endy, Jade Mercado, Wayne Staley, Kara K, The Blue Owl, Carlene Salona, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Fresh Tendonitis, Jamie Lynn, What the Fuck's Up Denny's, our #1 fan from Australia, Release, Millie, Alexa Shannon, Kayla Jean, Marianne, Sunny Mashburn, Sue, Nikki 6, Lauren Irene, Chris LSMS, Black Hole Sean, Captain Hightop, Alex Long, and Darian Riddle. So follow your comrades into this flood here. They're out there fighting the good fight. They need some help. You might as well go and join them.
Right now, they're supporting the entire Grunge Bible music community that we love, and they're doing it by their lonesome.
Yeah, by themselves. And some of them have been in the fight for a long time. They're tired. They need a hand.
Some of them, yeah, they've been. So let's give them a hand, give them a rest, and join forces, because it'll make us all a lot happier. I promise that we'll be we're happier every time we have a patron join aboard.
Absolutely, it makes us happy, and it'll make you happy because we'll keep making the podcast. So go ahead, handle your business, and enjoy this podcast episode. That's really the only couple things you got to do right now. It's pretty good. So getting into this episode. So last week when we were talking about Blind Melon, I think we both made the point, and we both agreed with one another that Blind Melon was really kind of a band that we don't listen to as much as we probably should, because when we spend time with their music, we really enjoy it, and you just get that sense like, wow, you know, I should spend more time with this band, and that really
I can't believe I don't listen to this band more often.
So that really kind of spawned the idea for this episode, where we're going to talk about different bands that Ethan, you and I feel similarly about, that when you listen, you're like, wow, I gotta spend more time around this, and additionally, that also raises certain questions in certain areas of, bands that might be on our list that everybody else seems to love and think really highly of, but we just haven't taken the time yet.
Right.
And additionally, bands that might have taken us a while to get into, that people either love or hate, and we're just like, oh, this doesn't do it for me. But you might be able to acquire a taste for something, and there's certainly some bands that come to mind for that. Do you want to... Maybe there's some bands that we're sick of.
Yeah, do you want to start with bands that we reluctantly were told to listen to, maybe, before we get into the bands that we don't listen to? So is there like bands that we reluctantly were told to listen to, got into, and then they found a good place in their heart? I think I feel like that might be a good place to start, because I don't know. I just feel like it would be... I don't know. What do you think? What do you think we should just start with the bands? I think that's a smaller list.
Yeah, it's certainly. There's two that come to mind that are adjacent to the Grunge Bible sphere, and I'll just cut to the chase. Yeah, I'll cut to the chase right here. I didn't believe in Primus. I cast aspersions at them on this podcast multiple times, and you think that you don't like something, and you actively don't like something, but then it just pops up every so often, and each time the reaction is a little less, adverse, and eventually you get to the point where you don't hate it, and then you might be indifferent about it, and then when you start seeking that band out, that's when you know they've got you hook, line, and sinker, and Primus certainly did that for me.
John the Fisherman.
John the Fisherman, exactly. That's basically John the Fisherman was out there. He reeled me in, and now I am a Primus fan. It's funny. I think if you go back and listen to maybe the first 10 or 15 episodes, we definitely, both of us, I don't think were the biggest fans of this band, but that's how it happens. Things turn around, and you hear things differently. So for me, that is the first band that comes to mind that I wasn't with the program. I didn't see what the program was. I didn't get it. And now I get it, and I enjoy them, and sometimes I'll seek them out. I remember, going to the gym, going to the weight room. I'll listen to Primus for that.
Oh heck yeah, yeah. I remember people always would bring up Primus and ask us to post them and whatnot, and it was one of those bands that completely went under my radar. I really didn't know much about them at all until like 2.5 years ago, and then we started hearing about it, and then I got into it, and I do vividly remember I was driving home, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna dive into some Primus, and I started listening to it on the road driving, and oh my gosh, it was so perfect for the road. Like it's funky enough and weird enough that it keeps your attention, and it just there's a lot to that band, and Les is great at the front, and we slowly fell into the Primus fandom, and I'm glad I'm there. I'm glad I found that band, and I feel like they're fun for me to go back and explore.
Yeah,
when I go there, I always,
for me too. Yeah,
like I kind of like getting into the deep cuts because it's just kind of it's just wild.
Oh yeah, and especially some of their live performances. There are no rules. I mean, their Woodstock set is just absolute electric, gas, petroleum, whatever you want to call it. Fantastic stuff. But that's another one of those things where I think my affinity for Primus is a gift that Grunge Bible has given me, because I would never have checked them out. We had a few people, and there was one Instagram user who very, very consistently would DM us and ask us to post. I think it was My Name is Mud. And every single time I was like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it.
Primus
I'm not interested in it. I don't like it. It's not good. And then eventually I got to the point where the straw was about to break the camel's back, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm posting it. So I put it up there. I said that I didn't really like this band. I thought they sucked. I kind of accidentally wandered into the whole Primus sucks thing, and I used it to pass it off the fact that I wasn't insulting the band.
So ironic.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it happens sometimes, so I'll thank my lucky stars for that. But over time, you make a couple more Primus posts, and that's how I've learned to like a lot of bands through that, because we'll get suggestions, and I won't know who these bands are, and I'll seek them out because I got to find something to post and watch some of their video, because I'll pull something to post it up there, and I learned to like different bits of music like that.
I think another band that fits into this category pretty strongly is Tool. I don't think either of us were fans of Tool until we were recommended, and I was a little reluctant to get into it, and still am. They're actually, they're an interesting band for me, but I'll put them in here. Where I reluctantly started listening to them, and then was kind of mesmerized by them naturally.
Yeah, I think for me they would fall into the category of, I still need to get into them, because I still don't feel like I get it.
They're in that category for me as well.
Yeah. So I don't know that I'm not confident enough to defend myself if I actually said that I was a fan of Tool and people started quizzing me on the band. I don't think I have the bat speed to hit their fastballs. So I know the Tool fans are very passionate, and I don't want to step on any toes here. So they're on the list. I think it's got to happen organically, though, because that's the thing. A lot of times we'll get suggestions, and people are like, oh, you have to listen to this. And I have a lot of friends, as you and I do this back and forth with one another all the time. Like, hey, you got to listen to this. And if you're not in the mood to discover something new, it's not going to resonate with you. I mean, if you're sitting down and you're in the mood for something that something that you can tap along to or sing, or you know what it's about, and you try to listen to something else, sometimes it doesn't sink in the way that it should. So I have like a queue of different bands and whatnot, in the back of my head, that when I'm in the mood to check something out and go out into a limb and discover something new, I got to check them out. But that's not all the time for me. So I kind of have to wait for that to come around, and Tool has been on the waiting list for a long time.
Yeah, I totally agree. It certain bands that aren't, that have that affinity to them, you need to be ready for. Is there any other bands that you fit in this category? The ones that like kind of reluctantly, and then and then you kind of really enjoyed them when you got. I have two other bands that I'll bring up.
Yeah, so I have one more, and this is a little bit of an announcement. And in accordance with recent tradition, I need to announce to everyone that I am a liar. About
here comes Guns N' Roses, baby.
It is not Guns N' Roses. It'll never be Guns N' Roses. I'll die on that hill. But
Motley Crue.
it was a couple of months ago, and I got on here once again, and I said that I didn't like this person. I didn't like any of their bands. Ethan, I like
Josh Homme?
Caius. I like Caius.
Yes.
I do.
Caius.
I never thought the day would come. I said that we said that we didn't like Josh Homme.
I also want to say that this episode is going to be full of contradictions, full of weird, bad opinions from us because
we're liars.
Because we're going to go back on a lot. We're going to go back on a lot of our words. I was like writing some stuff, and I was like, this is gonna sound gatekeeper-ish.
The cyclical nature of music. You know, I mean, we can.
Anyway, so back to Josh Homme.
Exactly.
Back to Josh Homme.
So I hated this band.
I was surprised by this. I'm surprised
too. So the origin story for my enjoyment of Caius must have been like a month ago. I was in the gym and I had a really, really heavy day. I think I was doing like back squat triples at like, 88% or something. It was really heavy, and I was already beat up because it was the end of the week, and I had just pulled deadlift doubles at like 92%. Like I was getting crushed, and I needed something, and I don't know why, but I happened upon Caius's "Welcome to Sky Valley" album, and I listened to that front to back that day. I had a fantastic lifting day, and the love affair was born. Caius helped me that day. I never thought that they could. I never thought that I would turn to them,
you were
but I did.
sending a few songs over to me.
I
was it
in real
Demon
time.
Runner or something? Or
yeah. I think Demon Cleaner is the. I sent Demon Cleaner over to you, and so I'm here. I'm here to say my name is Chris Salona, and I'm a liar. I like Caius, and I guess I like Josh Homme too.
I mean, he's got some good music. We can
for the music. Yeah, I can't speak to the man, obviously, but
I feel music. I had one or two similar things for I think we talked about this before. Due to the Big Lebowski, I had a hatred for the Eagles because he obviously
I hate the fucking Eagles. It's been a long night.
I remember having an argument with my friend Nick, and he's like, "Dude, they're really good. You should listen to them." And I was like, "Nah, man, I just hate them." And then, of course, like the Eagles fucking rock. They're just so good.
Especially when Joe Walsh joined the band, they added a little bit of hard edge to them relative to what they were doing before.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no surprise that the Eagles, they're one of my favorite, kind of like that California rock.
And if you grew up listening to classic rock, they're inescapable. So
yeah, so the Eagles.
I'm glad you came around for that because I've always enjoyed the Eagles.
Another band that kind of did this for me was in high school. The kind of the culty band was Dave Matthews Band. Had a lot of people that would go, and there's a lot of stigma behind it. And
he's still very polarizing. Like the people that don't like him aren't like, oh, he's not for me. They're like, fuck Dave Matthews is terrible.
Yeah, again, I was talking to some Nick, and he was telling me to listen to Grateful Dead. And I wanted to put on, and he would will not listen to Dave. But so similar thing where I was like on board with like the no Dave, and then I slowly kind of dipped into it, and I think he's really good. And I got past the whole some people don't like him, and I just ignore them. I just listen to.
That's what you have to do. You just got to stay in your own lane.
I understand. I mean, he's super whiny. I mean, I get it. I can understand where
it's not for everybody.
But you just don't listen to those songs.
Yeah. So speaking to that, there's another segment over here of bands that we like that a lot of people tend not to like, and I think Dave Matthews is a really good example of that for you in the sense that I think. I don't know that I've posted him, but I know you've posted him on Grunge Bible before on the Instagram page, and it's always laden with comments about how it's garbage or whatever. But it's notice the people that like him, they will defend him to the last man. And there's a lot of bands out there for me that I like that are like that. I think for me, Counting Crows comes to mind immediately, where I love to post them because I really like them as a band, and I really like Adam Duritz, and a lot of people. Do not like Counting Crows, but I will defend them. I hop in the battle. I defend them. Modest Mouse is kind of like that too. There's a lot of people repost them a lot too, and some people just they're just not about it. I kind of like think of those bands similarly. A lot of it I think comes from the voice and the stage presence of the front the lead singer and the front man. You think Isaac Brock, you think Dave, you think what's it called? Adam Duritz. Yeah. And I mean, you have one bad experience where, they weren't singing accurately or they were mumbling at a show, and you have an enemy for life. So
Yeah, that's what I was a lot of what I was thinking about for this section, the beauty in the eye of the beholder, and I really like Dinosaur Jr. And
Yep.
sometimes I'll be listening to them and I'll be like, I was like, I guarantee if I tried to show this song to somebody, they'd be like, this guy's voice fucking sucks.
I feel that way about the Melvins sometimes.
Yeah,
too.
I really like this song, but like there's no way I could show this to my roommate and he'd be like, you like this? Like every time. So I put Dinosaur Jr. is pretty good for this. I feel like Neutral Milk Hotel, I don't know if you know them.
Okay, yeah, I do.
But he has an awesome nasal type voice that I think is great, and his music is so good, but it's one of those ones where I'm kind of hesitant to show people, just because and there's not a lot of music. They have like 2 albums, I think, but really only one. So
there's a lot of bands that occupy like the punk rock sphere that I think that genre is just laden with they're not for everybody, and it's in the eye of the beholder, and kind of recently too. For the last half year, basically, you and I have both been obsessed with Petey, and I've been taking it upon myself to share him with everybody that I know that is musically inclined. And a common retort to that is I've had a couple of people tell me, like, I think I send them like microwave dinner or something, and they're like, wow, like, I've never heard someone sing that sounds like they need a throat lozenge more than Petey. But it's in the eye of the beholder, and if it's not for you, there's just more for me. So I don't really have a problem with it. But there are a lot of bands like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are the main ones that I was thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. How about do you have bands that are on your list, or bands that you look around, you see everybody else listening to them, and you're like, wow, like I really need to spend some time with them, and I think there's a couple parts for me. It's like I see other people listening to them, and I know a lot of people like them, and then there's also bands or musicians that people always request that we post that I just haven't gotten around to it. So I'm sure you have some bands and musicians like that.
Yeah, so I took this question. Of course, there's so much music, and we've been talking about this. There's like, where do you start? Especially if a band has 14 albums. Like,
that's
what
the
do you
hard
do?
part right now, because a lot of the bands we like have been bands for 30 years, and it's just sensory overload. Where do you start, and how do you even divide up your time?
Like, that's why I want to interview some people from the back, because imagine trying to get into the underground music of the 80s. Like, we can't even get
God.
Like, we can't even get into the underground music of the
flashlight,
popular
some snacks, and an oxygen tank if I'm going down there.
Like, I could try my hardest for like 10 years, and I don't know if I could get through some of the stuff. So,
oh my God, no. It's too dense.
So even like there's, the big bands, like, so a couple that come to mind for me is definitely like Sonic Youth, the Pixies, and I put NoFX because they're like they were a really big punk band, and even like the Ramones and the Clash. So those are like 5 super influential bands, 3 punk bands, like, and then 2 like super alternative, really influential on the the alternative sound and the using of different noise pedals and distortion and whatnot. And like, I've listened to a handful of songs from all of them. I know my way around very basically, but like, I wish that I spent more time with, because they're just such a big influence on a lot of bands. So they kind of like fit like the perfect, man, I should listen to them more. But I even when I try, I don't get very deep. I always pull out faster than I feel like I should.
I go back to known territories. Another band that I would put in that, I don't know if you feel the same way, but is The Cure. We get a lot of people that request The Cure, and I just I've spent some time with them. But like you said, I get a couple of songs in, and I'm like, I don't have the time, I don't have the mental bandwidth to do this right now. So I pull back my my troops, and I go somewhere else. But yeah, there's a lot of bands. I feel very similarly, especially about Sonic Youth, that you said, because we post them, and I think it's a band that we, running the page that we do, we are supposed to like them, and we're supposed to be knowledgeable about them. But we're just not. And like, we don't, I don't know enough about them really to know if I like them or not. I love their performances live. I think they brought such a really, really good energy live. They really captivated the space that they were performing. But I don't really know much about them. I would even put Dinosaur Jr. in that category for me.
Yeah.
Aside from Feel the Pain and a couple of random tracks that I've come to like over the years, I probably know Jay Mascis's solo catalog better than I know Dinosaur Jr.'s catalog. But it's also see, we're liars because we post I post these bands, and I think sometimes people would never know. Like I don't really know much about these bands. But they're on the list, and the list is...
Spill is one that I was going to put for the Eye of the Beholder, but like I like them, but I like same with Dino Jr. Like my listening is still, I feel very shallow, and I've listened to them a good bit.
Yeah. That's why it's kind of intimidating talking to people that were maybe our age 30 years ago, because they know all of these things. I'm like, I don't. Like sometimes I don't have the base to have those conversations, but that's the only way you learn is by having those conversations with people that were there, people that have more knowledge and more experiences than you. Another band
I do have a quote. I was gonna say I do have a quote about Sonic Youth that was when I was looking through. I read, and it was by Michael Azard. He just writes about the early career, and he said Sonic Youth could only afford cheap guitars, and cheap guitars sounded like cheap guitars. But the weird tunings or something jammed under a particular fret, those humble instruments could sound rather amazing. Bang a stick on a cheap Japanese Stratocaster, copy in the right tuning, crank that amplifier to within an inch of its life, and it will sound like church bells. And I'm like, damn, I want to listen to some Sonic Youth. I love that.
That is the perfect thing to butter me up for a Sonic Youth listening session. I mean,
and then you listen to it, it's
right,
like,
though,
it's just like, yeah.
That's poetic. That is incredibly poetic. Another band. Well, another band that I place in this category. Everybody loves them. Velvet Underground. Not very related to our genre, but I think a lot of the musicians that were prevalent in the 90s were very influenced by that band. It's another one of those, I think it's difficult to get in.
They influenced the Sonic Youth like a ton. That's
there you go. They influence everybody. I mean, like there's some seminal influences, I think, from the 60s and 70s, certainly, that everybody draws from. And I definitely place them in the conversation. Back to the 90s, though, Local H is on my list. I need to do more research on them. I feel like I would really like them.
I did not see that coming.
You never know. You never know what's going to come next. But that's another one. I think when we post them, everybody loves them. Everybody's like, "Oh, I saw them in whatever 2001, and it was great." But yeah,
that's interesting. Maybe
they're not number one on the list, but they're on there. They're out there somewhere.
That's funny. That's awesome. Someone actually, the anniversary just popped up the other day of his passing, came up, and I saw a lot of people post about him.
I was just going to bring this up.
I was kind of shocked about Jeff Buckley. And obviously, I know his music, and I know his hits and stuff, but I didn't really understand. I don't really understand his influence in the music and how much. How important, what he was in a way, and how big he could have been. So I have some work to do there for sure. And I'm kind of excited about that because he kind of fits in that, like, kind of like Beck kind of singer-songwriter, like just very in deep guy.
Yeah, so that is the last person that I was going to bring up in this category, and I think Jeff Buckley has been on my list that I should really take some time for probably 4 or 5 years at this point, and I just haven't done it. Aside from he has a live album that I think has a couple of Dylan covers on there, and it's got I Shall Be Released on there too. It is a really good live album, but I don't, aside from Grace and like Lover, You Should Have Come Over, I don't know. I think with him, it may be a similar situation to like a Kurt Cobain thing where, unfortunately, well, maybe not unfortunately, but because somebody passes before their time, there's this other bit of mystique surrounding them. And I think people think really highly, but knowing what I know about him, it's still one of those same things where you just can't help but think about, where his career would have gone, because I mean he was not old when he passed away, so you figure he's still well within creating his creative years at this point if he were still with us. But definitely been on my list for a long time. I don't really know where to start though. I don't know.
The beginning, I guess.
Yeah.
Start at the beginning. I'm definitely, I think I'll find myself getting into his music pretty soon.
Yeah. Just like last summer we had the pact that we had to get into jam bands. Maybe this summer we have to get into Jeff Buckley.
Did a pretty good job getting into jam bands.
The Goose, man.
The Goose is great. I have been able to, I have been able to get into the Dead and some other stuff, but it's still so daunting.
My only hopes are Goose or the Dead. I think I've removed my tent from the fish camp. I tapped out, Ethan. I couldn't do it.
Fish was not for you, man.
No, Harry Hood.
It's funny that I think they're probably gonna catch some more followers because they're all original members from the old
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's full band. I think that obviously they're all still alive. So I think they got a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Another band, another kind of some people that I wanted to bring up was in the classic rock vein. There's a lot of music that I know the people, but I haven't listened to the music all that much. But I was thinking, honestly, Janis Joplin and Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship with Grace Slick.
Grace Slick, oh my God.
Those
one
two,
of the greatest voices, I think, of that era.
Right. Those two are so influential and just really great, but I haven't listened to an incredible amount. And I'm not sure really why. So I would like to go back and listen to more of that. Honestly, and some more Jimmy. I haven't really listened to a ton of Jimi Hendrix, just his main. I mean, I've a handful of stuff I had on my iPod when I first got it.
Totally.
And I listened to that pretty a lot, but
yeah,
I would enjoy getting more into him too.
Yeah, I think you definitely should. When I was in college, I really got into him for a few months, and I think the greatest stuff that we have are the live albums that he did over the years, and super good. I think it really captures the full essence, and his band, Band of Gypsies, they were so good. The drummer was Buddy Miles, who is in our sphere, he is the main practitioner of the big beat.
The big beat.
Dreams by Buddy Miles. And that's the thing. I mean, you have someone like that in your band, who incredible drummer, but also an incredible singer. And you don't really hear a peep out of him because it's Jimmy up there. And obviously, I mean, Jimi Hendrix is the guitar god. And I definitely think that's one that it's easy to get into though too. So right. I don't think you'll have any issues there.
Awesome. Any other bands that I also put down the Black Crowes because you listen to them a ton.
Yeah.
And I have only listened to them, very fringe level type stuff.
Yeah.
Just the stuff that you've shared with me.
Yeah, in a weird way, the Black Crowes could some of their stuff from the late 90s and 2000s could almost be a gateway to jam bands. Right. Because Chris Robinson, huge fan of the Grateful Dead, as I think most of the band members were. And, they've covered Grateful Dead songs, and a lot of their songs, during their second to last iteration, not the current lineup, I mean, they would just extend into these really, really extravagant Dead style jams. But yeah, that's one of those bands. They went through a lot of changes, a lot of lineup changes, a lot of stylistic changes too in the types of music that they cut in the studio. But I've been a fan of all of theirs.
Yeah, the Chris Robinson Brotherhood.
The Chris Robinson Brotherhood. Yeah, that was kind of out there.
Wasn't that didn't it have people a part of the Dead in it, or was it? I thought it was very jam band type music, because I remember my buddy was telling me
bandy. I liked their music. I can't speak to who was in the band. I don't know other than Chris Robinson, and they had a gentleman named Neil Castle who played guitar in there, who was really
Mark
talented.
Dutton
but
George Sluppick,
some of their stuff was really out there. I remember when I was in college, my throws coach was a huge fan of the Black Crowes, and we would keep up on what the what Chris and Rich were each doing. And Rich was in a band called the Magpie Salute, which we saw at the time, and Chris was in the Brotherhood. And I remember one year they released an EP. I think it was called, If You Lived Here, You Would Be Home by Now. And one of those songs on there, a little bit of a tangent here, but one of those songs was called From the North Garden, and it did feature a sitar. So I mean, that's all you need to know. It was really, really interesting. But if you have the patience for getting into kind of slower, jammy stuff, I think it's a good. And that's the kind of the reason why I can't give up hope on the jam bands, because I do like a lot of the slower, weirder, more eclectic Crows stuff. So if I like that, I should be able to take the jump.
Mm-hmm. What genre do you wish you spent more time in? If you had to pick, obviously we're doing bands, we don't listen too much, but we wish you did. So what genre do you wish that you would be, say, more knowledgeable and just had like a better
what I want to get into? I want to get into like old school punk music.
Yep, that's my answer.
Like
that's why I said the Ramones and the Clash,
and the early
Sex Pistols,
80s. Yes, absolutely.
The Germs, the Stooges, all those
I would
guys.
really love to get into that, because I think if we spent some time there, I think a lot of dots would connect between that and what went on in the 80s and grunge and modern day punk rock music, because I think obviously they're certainly different, but I think we're fans of so many bands that were directly influenced by the music that was going on in that genre at that time. So I would only think that we would enjoy it. So, but that's one of those other areas where I have to be very honest. I don't really know much about it. So that's why it's really nice, I think, to be able to run, the pages that we run, because if we ask for suggestions, we will have no shortage of them. So I think that's maybe another one of our projects for us.
Yeah, I've listened to him. I had a little stint back when I was in Finland. I was when we were really getting into this in 2015. I was into some of this, like the British pop and the England bands. And so do you think that, compare it to jam bands, do you think that you could last in the punk rock?
I don't know. I don't know if I have the I don't know if I have what it takes.
Yeah, do you have what it takes to be, shoot, I mean, it's intense. It's really
intense. Like, and I think it exercises a completely different part of your brain as like the jam band scene that we were trying to get into, because I'm, as far as Fish, like I said, I didn't have what it took for that. I don't know if I have what it takes for Tool, for example. I really don't know if I have what it takes for like 70s British punk music, especially like if you got into some of the underground stuff.
Dude.
I don't know. I don't know.
Walk into any record store and they're probably playing something that that you need to that you'd feel threatened.
I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I'd like to think I could do it. I think idealistically I see myself as the strongest version of myself that could handle that, but I don't know. I really don't know.
Scary territory, I know.
It's terrifying. It's dark out there. It's scary. Need my nightlight. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I think we're in fairly good agreement about that, those territories.
Any grunge bands that you wish that you'd listen to more?
Yeah, actually.
So I put Mother Love Bone down.
Mother Love Bone for me as well. Yeah.
I just wish that I would. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I don't want to say it feels off limits, but when I don't think to go listen to Andrew all that much, and I have no good reason why I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gone through phases because obviously, I mean, they didn't exist for a terribly long period of time, so there's not a whole lot of music out there, and I've listened to everything that they ever put out, and I've watched shows and everything, but it's been a while since I've made that, conscious decision to do it. But I have their music on different playlists of mine, and it's the same. It's the Blind Melon reaction, like, oh shit, like I should go, I should click on them and go and listen more. But they're definitely on there for me. Mudhoney is on there for me. I really I don't spend near as much time in the Mudhoney jar as I really should. Stone Temple Pilots, I think, come to mind too. I could see myself spending some more time with them. Also, the three-letter grunge bands Tad and Paw. I gotta get into Tad. I gotta get into Paw. like I said, I think Local H, I don't listen to them enough. I think Hole, I think is also on the list of something that I need to get into. L7, I got to listen to more of too.
Yeah. Yeah, L7, Hole, definitely Hole had a lot of stigma behind it that I think kept us away for a while.
Yeah.
That would be fun to kind of get into, because they have some good music.
Absolutely. Yeah, really,
there's somebody else that was on the tip of my tongue. Who was I thinking about?
I probably stole your thunder when I mentioned Tad, obviously.
Yeah, Tad was a good one. I mean, all those bands are really good. Yeah. I mean, the Mudhoney and Melvins, like, they both kind of
a couple of years ago, the Screaming Trees would be on this list for me, but I've been deep into their stuff for a long time now, since I made that decision.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good music that we can get into thing,
because
at some point.
It's not going anywhere. The only people that are going anywhere is us. Once this music's out there, it's going to exist forever. So it's just up to us to make our way over there to find it. And obviously, just based off of this conversation that we're having, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and there's so many good bands that we'll never get to, which sucks. But you're never going to run out of new opportunities, and you're never going to exhaust that feeling that you get when you start to discover something that you really like, which is, I think, something that keeps me listening to music. So, it's a good feeling. With that being said, though, I know we've spent this entire segment talking about bands that we like, bands that we have to get into, bands that we have to listen to more of. Ethan, I think we need to talk about bands that we're just sick of, that we've tapped out on, that we just can't do it anymore. Not to say that it's always going to be that way, but right now, like, we're just tapped, because there's always bands like this that occupy this space for me.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a liar and say that there aren't any of these bands. There's bands I just can't listen to. I was having a kind of a difficult time at first, because you want to pick bands, but then you're like, well, you don't want to be too hard on them. Yeah. Was there any that stuck out that was like really easy choice of like anything really easy for you? I have one that's like, it's a more recent band, so it's not. But for me, I can go first.
Yeah, I'd love for you to go first.
21 Pilots. I was really a big fan of them when I was in high school graduating, and I went to like 6 or so concerts, probably maybe even more, I'm not sure, with some friends, and they were just so good. They had such a good 2-person band. The drummer was really great. I thought he was a great influence on me, and the singer could, Tyler sang and screamed, and he was so good. And then they kind of like moved away and kind of went more radio, based, and their crowds changed at their shows, and all of a sudden I got really turned off, and it's been such a hard, like, been so hard for me to kick this disdain for them. So I haven't listened to any of their new stuff, and I'm just totally, I don't even really go back to their old stuff anymore. So I got sick of them, and it's hard for me to get past it. I don't really know why. Because there's other music. I'm listening to other music now, so it's no big deal. But they kind of switched, and they lost me, which is sad, but whatever.
Yeah. It's always strange how that happens. Like, bands will lose you, or like bands will make a stylistic shift that you're just not really on board with what they're doing at that point, and you just kind of only find yourself listening to the recent stuff. I will say they're not in this category for me right now, but that happens to me from time to time with Pearl Jam. Like, I'll have my fill, and I need to take some time away.
But the different side of that is, I wanted to point out the different side is, like, because I think you hear a lot of people when they bag on PJ. It's because same thing with me. They grew up listening and going to all the shows while they loved them. Mm-hmm. And when we look back as a full discography at them, it's different, because we don't see it like a time lapse where, like, so with the 21 Pilots, like it's a change of over time and stuff. So I think it affects me differently. And I think that's the cool part about this page, is we talk to people that live through it, and that they have their opinions, because, like, we had this Pearl, all we knew was 10 and verse, and like, you know, it was
right.
very
with Dave Aberzees on the drums, and we didn't really know anything about
so I think sometimes, like for us, you do get sick of Pearl Jam, but it's not the same as when you hear people talk about it. So I understand where that, like, when you're living through it, it is a different type of, like, your opinion's a little bit stronger maybe, because I do the same thing with Pearl Jam, but it's not like I can't completely get behind the, like, they're selling out and stuff, because I know them both ways. So I knew them when they were older.
Exactly. Yeah. I, oddly enough, about Pearl Jam, I felt a little bit of this when I started seeing the videos from their most recent tour, the tour that they're on right now. And like, we only saw them 6 years ago. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket considering, you know, they started in 1990 and 10 came out in 91. But I had like a little inkling of that. I was like, oh, like it's not as good as it was, you know, in 2016. And I'm like, wait a second, like, listen to yourself right now. Like, one, that sounds ridiculous because you weren't even born when they started. Secondly, just like, relax. It's not that big of a deal. So I can certainly see why people feel that way frequently about Pearl Jam. And like, we get comments all the time like, oh, you know, I saw them live in 93, and then, you know, I checked them out live in 06, and it just, you know, it just wasn't, it didn't do it for me anymore, because they're neutered now compared to what they were before. I think that's a common sentiment, but I have to say, you know a band I'm kind of sick of right now?
Who?
Which, it's funny because I don't really ever know that I've considered myself to be a fan of this band. I'm kind of sick of the Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I'm kind of sick of them.
Yeah, a lot of people get to that point. For sure.
Well, I think music, particularly rock and roll, it kind of anoints people and puts people on pedestals that just survive as a band and just kind of exist for a long time. I think there's a lot of bands that, you know, obviously have that element to them. I think Pearl Jam, a lot, that's a critique of them. Like, oh, they're just, you know, they've just existed. They're only popular now because they were popular 30 years ago. But yeah, I don't know. The Chili Peppers, you know, the new album that came out, obviously, it was kind of everywhere in the music sphere. People were pushing that album hard. You know, it got a lot of press. It was everywhere. And I think I had enough during the press cycle for the release, and I don't really seek them out. I don't know that I ever really did.
Right.
But at this point, I mean, it's at the point where, you know, I'd probably change the station. I just need a little bit of break. So.
Yeah, here and there stuff on the radio doesn't always get me going, but for some reason the Chili Peppers, like, they kind of have my heart. I don't think I'd ever turn on the Chili Peppers. I like them. I like what they did. I like the stuff, and for some reason they're just like, they're just playing music. They're doing the Chili Peppers thing, and I don't get upset with it. And
and that's the thing.
Like, yeah, so it's so funny because they just fit in a category like, it's like the one kid in the class, like, just, you know, let him do his thing, like, you know, no problem. You know, he's just, they're in their own world, you know.
That's just him, yeah, exactly. And I think something everybody forgets.
Like, are you gonna stop him? Like, nah, that's just, you know, that's just going.
Yeah, he's fine.
Like, he does that. It's really funny. You just gotta let him go.
What he does. I think something that people forget a lot when they talk about bands that they might be sick of, or bands that, you know, they've fallen off of, like you with 21 Pilots, like. It's like what the dude said. That's just your opinion, man. So I'm not sitting here saying that the Red Hot Chili Peppers are objectively bad, obviously, because I think a lot of people liked the new record. I mean, it sold a lot of copies. It's getting a lot of play, obviously, and they're very, very fucking talented. I'm sure their shows are good. But it's just, you know, it's my opinion that I've had enough of them. The tank's full. I gotta burn some of the fuel before I can put some more in there. I don't know. I mean, they come to mind. I'm sick of Van Halen, to be honest. I changed this chant. I don't like them. I don't like any. We know this. I don't like anything from the 80s. I used to consume this stuff because it was on classic rock radio. I mean, I could get down to some Van Halen. I used to be able to get down to some Sweet Child of Mine by Guns. I can't do it anymore. I don't listen to them. When I was
driving with Nick from Arizona to California. Yeah. I put on Holy Diver.
Yeah.
By Dio.
Dio, yeah.
And then and I love it. I love that song. But then we went and we played this game. I played this game that I like to call "How Long Can You Last in 80s Metal?" and you put on one of their albums, put on a Dio album, and you get the one song, and you're like, wow, this is really good. This is why it was big. And then you get into the other ones, and you're like, it's kind of doing the same thing. And all of a sudden, I'm like a 4-song limit sometimes, even though I'd like to go a little bit longer. But that's pretty much kind of done. That's kind of it for me.
I have to say, do you know the one song that always gets, without fail from me, the most visceral reaction? I will always change it no matter what. And if I'm in the car and I don't have access, I will ask someone to change it. If it used to come on in the weight room, I would ask people to change it.
Let me think.
The one song I cannot stand.
Is it a part of like Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue?
It's from that vein. And it's got such a distinct beginning that I hear it. It takes me a third of a second to realize that it is what it is, and I need to get out of there as soon as possible.
Let me think. Is it? Well, this is. Is it Journey? No, Don't Stop Believing.
No, I don't mind Journey. I don't mind them. They're safe.
What band is it? What band is it?
It's Van Halen.
Oh, okay. What, Hot for Teacher? What is it?
I cannot fucking stand Hot for Teacher. When it starts, I don't know if it's like, it's like a drum. It sounds like a motorcycle kind of starting up. I cannot stand it. It comes on. It ruins that moment for me. Whatever's going on, I can't stand it. I gotta change it. I gotta leave the room. I have to go hijack the aux, play something else as a palate cleanser. I cannot stand that song. I hate it. Fucking hate it.
That was always when I was learning drums. Like, listen to the Hot for Teacher drum solo, the drum intro, man. And I listened to it. I'm like, this just sounds like muddled, like, and I was like,
garbage.
What's going on here?
It's garbage.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
I mean,
I can't do it.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Are there any other bands for you that come to mind? Because there's one more for me. I'd have to get off my chest.
Yeah, I mean, there's one band that it's a common theme, but it fits in all categories. But one band I'm sick of is Tool already. Tool fits in every
single category that we've spoken about today.
They reluctantly were thrown into fame in my life. I loved it. I also have no understanding of them, so I need to go way deeper. They fit into the culty, like, you can't be here unless you don't know. And then also, like, I'm just kind of tired of Tool. He is everything for me. So Tool stands alone.
He's a walking contradiction.
Yeah, a walking contradiction. Exactly. And it's just, you just never, it's like a magic 8-ball, you just take it, you shake it, and then who knows what the fucks you're going to get. So Tool, I'm sick of them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Maynard.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I'm sick of them too.
Yeah, everybody is.
But at the same time, I'm sick of them. I also think I should listen to them more. I also need to get into them, and I currently don't like them. It's everything at once. I don't know how it's possible.
I know. It's weird, man. It's weird.
It's funny how it happens. It's crazy.
Was that the same band you were thinking?
No, so there's one more for me, and I feel kind of bad stating what I'm about to state, but it only really came to mind because I think they're touring right now, and I had at least a couple of my friends see different shows along the road on this tour, but I've had enough of The Who.
Yeah,
I've just had enough.
I love it. I love it.
For me, I think they just need to pack it in. They just need to stop.
That's so good. I totally agree.
I mean, and certainly it's sour grapes because they're very rich and famous and talented. Or at least they're rich and famous and they were talented. But I don't know. I don't know. They played in Boston a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago by the time this comes out, and I had not for a second. I was like, I gotta see The Who. I just don't think it's a good live product anymore. I don't know. It doesn't.
Can't imagine, right?
It's not for me. It's just like, I don't know. I'm sure I'll feel similarly in a way about like if Pearl Jam 20 years from now is still playing Leash live. You play Baba O'Reilly, Teenage Wasteland. They're all wasted and they're just telling everyone to fuck off.
It
I
comes
don't
back,
know.
dude. I really it makes you appreciate the whole jam band, type of music concert going where they play 3 songs. Like they mix it up. They don't play the same songs. Like
Yeah.
they stumbled upon something so good because they can get away with anything on stage. Where like
Yeah.
my friend just saw Smashing Pumpkins here in Birmingham, and he
Yep.
was like, yeah, it was good. He's like, it was kind of a calculated old rock band. They probably don't drink anymore. They probably they're playing the music and they play the songs you want to hear, but it's kind of calculated. But people love it, and people go and stuff. And
Yeah, it serves
I
the
wish
purpose.
I wish I could have went, I guess. But also like,
Yeah.
and maybe I would have been disappointed. So
I think with me in a like a weird roundabout way, my feelings of being over the Who only make me appreciate the band that they were in the 70s more, and the fact that they were able to kind of capture that moment and be so powerful. Because let's be honest, the only reason why I'm over them now is because they set such a high standard for themselves with what they were doing in the 70s, and that is a very, very difficult barometer by which to measure yourself against, I think. And that's on me totally for, like, oh, why would I go and see them when I could just pull up YouTube from, a show that they did in 74 or whatever. I mean, that's a me thing. Like I said, once again, I'm not projecting on anybody else, but yeah, I'm sick of the Who. I'm tired of it. I just, yeah, it's just
that is such a good
that ship
take.
has
I
set
like that
sail
one.
for me.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's been on
That's
my
good.
mind for a little bit because I think it's one of those things too. Everybody that I know that went to this recent run of shows that the Who put on, they're like, oh, they were so good, they were awesome, and I just feel like they're lying. I feel like you have to say they were good.
Well, yeah, and some people just, they're gonna say that like regardless of how the show actually went.
Well, there's so many things that go into it. It's like you're there with like the famous people. They're up there. You saw them. You check it off the list, and like that obviously adds an element. Like, oh, it was so good to do that. But it's like, was the music, was the performance good? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can say this about every band. I'm sure there's people that feel this way about all of the bands that I love. So I don't know. But yeah, that's my final entry into bands that I'm sick of currently. With the understanding that Guns N' Roses is a omnipresent member of that club.
Yeah, sick of them. Yeah, that's good. I mean, the Stones, they could they're still touring, right?
They're still touring.
Yeah, they should pack it up probably.
Charlie Watts just passed away too, so the drummer's gone, and I don't know how Keith is still alive. I don't know how Mick's able to do what he does, but
yeah.
There's certain bands like that are like legacy bands that I feel bad about not having seen, because I've had opportunities to see the Stones. Another person, I've had several opportunities to see Bob Dylan live. He used to come to the college town where I lived and worked for 5 years. He used to come like every year, every other year, but every single time I passed up, just because I've heard it's terrible now. It's like 45 minutes of mumbling, and that's it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So
yeah, don't feel bad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna beat myself up over it.
No, there's a lot of other young artists that needs our support and need
Absolutely.
that we can spend our time going to local music. I think this is a good part of the show where we're going to push, go see your local bands, go see your local music, support the band that you've always, buy that shirt you always wanted to buy, because that really is important. Buy the record, buy the vinyl. I had a real long discussion with my friend about streaming services, and maybe we can make an episode on that. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Maybe if we get the right guest that actually knows the industry, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Or a musician's perspective, I think that would be really cool.
Both sides of it, yeah.
Yeah, do a little
because
GB round table.
Without getting too into it, I understand the streaming service does a lot of good. Obviously getting the music out and stuff, but it's also they're not getting a lot of the profit. So what gives?
Yeah, I think if you use the streaming service to discover, and if you feel strongly enough about something, or if you really like it, I think you have to do
Move
something
off
to
the
support.
platform.
Yeah, I think you have to buy something from the musician, or go see a show or something. Speaking of shows, Ethan, I just found out about this right before we sat down to record, and I need your opinion. Literally 5 minutes before I sat down and we started doing this episode, I found out that on Tuesday, June 28th, the Melvins are coming to Providence, my town.
You have to go.
I feel like I have to go.
You have to go, dude. That is to see King Buzzo, that one
consistently gets reviewed as the loudest show people have gone to. It's always the Melvins and Dinosaur Jr. when people we have this topic.
I'm pretty sure I have a rescheduled Dinosaur Jr. show for in the fall.
Yeah, you definitely
this year.
do. I remember this. You haven't gone yet, so
yeah, he just like he just set it for like a year, which is a long time.
So you think I need to go?
I think there's no way those tickets are going to be that. It's probably. I mean, what venue?
It's $26 to go.
That's worth it.
And piss away $26 in worse ways than going to see the Melvins.
You buy a case of beer for that.
Exactly, that's it. So as it stands right now, on June 25th, I'm going to see Failure. I've already bought the ticket. So then only a few days later, I'll go to King Buzzo. So it's Saturday the 25th and then Tuesday the 28th. I think that's
a great opportunity. Dang, that's like 3 weeks from now, huh?
Yeah, it's soon. It's even sooner after the release of this episode. It's 2 weeks after this episode coming out. That's a band that I would love to go. Like I think if I had the choice to see Mudhoney or the Melvins, I think I would choose the Melvins. Really?
What about you?
I think I have to pick Mudhoney, obviously, but I'll hope to see both. I guess I'll check the Melvins off here in a couple of weeks' time, and I'll see what the buzz is all about, literally and figuratively.
I was gonna say you could spend $26 on a cheap case of beer and get a headache, or you can spend $26 on a really loud concert and get a headache that way. So either way,
you're an organic headache.
Yeah, just get a real one. I can feel it coming. I can feel the onset headache coming on.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. My mind's made up. I'll buy the tickets. I'll go.
Yeah, I would.
There we have it.
All right.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. We talked about a lot of bands. Maybe we hurt some feelings. Maybe we healed some feelings that we hurt earlier in this podcast series.
Yeah, full disclaimer, we're just two guys talking, having fun with music. We probably contradict a lot of the stuff we've said, but we love music and our taste changes all the time. Yeah, so but speaking of supporting local and small, support Grunge Bible.
Gotta support us.
Go to Patreon, become a supporter. That's the best ways to support us. It keeps us going. But if you don't want to do that, leave a review on either Spotify, Apple, or whatever other streaming device
go to
you're
YouTube,
using.
Leave a comment, subscribe to us on YouTube. That would be great as well.
Yeah, let's get an update. How many subscribers? Do you know off the top of your head how many we have?
Pretty sure, I think on YouTube right now we're rolling with like 730, give or take. And on Spotify, I think we have about 3,500 followers on the podcast. So I would love for that number to go up. I don't know how many people are. Yep. I don't know how many people are subscribed to Apple because it doesn't disclose it, which sucks. Either that or I'm not using the apparatus correctly, which is just as likely. But either way, I'd like to think that it probably mirrors Spotify, since the listener base is quite similar between Spotify and Apple. I have no fucking clue about Amazon or Stitcher or whatever anybody else uses.
Or Audio Slave or whatever the other device.
Who knows what's going on there? But yeah, seriously, we would love it if you support us. You know, this does take time. It does take money to continue to put this out. So, with that in mind, we want to continue to give the best product that we can, and that will certainly, help us out. I mean, that's the best way to help somebody is dollars in the bank. So we could certainly use it with this endeavor because, like I said, it does take time and money to do this. Yeah.
And also, thank you, Drew, our lovely producer. You do a great job.
People want to know where our money
week.
goes to. It goes to our producer.
Yeah, that guy loves that we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, he does. And I love that
Drew?
I love that he's producing our podcast. Drew. He's fantastic.
We'll get him on for an episode here sometime soon.
Yeah, we're due for a Drew episode.
Due for Drew. All right, I think that brings us to Song of the Week.
It does bring us to Song of the Week.
I got a good one this week. I mean, it's a new song as of April, so it just came out, single, and it's a band that I'm going to see in about a month, about 4 weeks.
Nice.
I've seen them before. I said I would see them again when they came around, and they are. So it is Rainbow Kitten Surprise is the band, and the song is Workout. And it's about a 5-minute song. It's very, like, the best way I can put it, it's very cinematic. It seems
I love that.
Yeah, it seems very movie-esque. Seems like a trailer. It seems like the end of the movie where you're watching people progress, and it has a nice build to it, and it's kind of soft, and it just, like I said, it just kind of tells a story, and it's a really good song and got me excited. I'm not sure if they have plans for a full album before, like when it's going to drop or whatnot. I'm hoping. But yeah, they got some great music. I always love watching them. So Workout by Rainbow Kitten Surprise. Yeah, great. They're solid.
I'll have to go listen to that. I haven't listened to that one yet, so looking forward to that. So right, my Chris. Entry, there are a lot of contenders this week. Thinking beforehand over the last couple of days, since I like to think in advance sometimes about this. I mean, Kendrick was in the conversation. Harry Styles was in the conversation. Mark Lanigan and Petey are always in the conversation. Car Seat Headrest has been in the conversation lately. But I'll tell you, a couple of days ago, I had it was one of the first really, really good summer nights that we've had here up in Rhode Island. And, I was on the open road, and it just so happened that a song from the past came on, and let me tell you, it hit the spot. So that is going to be my song of the week. Not CCR. Similar though. Similar vibe. We are going to Boston, and nice. The song of the week is going to be Foreplay / Long Time by Boston. It's one of those songs that I probably, before I had that experience driving recently, I hadn't heard it in a long time because I don't listen to the radio much anymore. Like I'll just, I'll link up my phone or I'll listen to NPR, to be honest. I don't listen to classic rock radio that much anymore. So I miss out on my Bostons. I miss out on my CCRs. I mercifully miss out on my Who's and my Van Halens, but I do miss out on Boston, which sucks because that debut album that they had, there's not a bad song on there. And Foreplay / Long Time is probably my favorite one. I'll tell you, right when it kicks in, like the main part of the song, and that guitar is going, and Brad Delp's vocals come in. I mean, you cannot be in a bad mood. Especially, it was picturesque. You're driving, the sun's set, and the windows are down, and it's such a good song. And sometimes, honestly, Ethan, I have to tell you, I do occasionally skip the foreplay and go right into the long time. Before I hopped on to record this, I just got right into it. I skipped all the extracurriculars and we got right into it. And man, what a good song! That's my song of the week.
That's so awesome. Good. I love bands that have the names of cities. Yeah. Boston, Chicago. Mm-hmm. I think of, is there more? There's got to be more.
Population 2.
Nah, there's more. I'm blanking now, but yeah.
The information's never there when you need it.
That's a great one. My father is a big Boston fan, so good stuff. Really good stuff.
The lyrics are so good too. It's been such a long time. I think I should be going. Time doesn't wait for me. It keeps on rolling. Mm-hmm.
I think that's song. Us right now.
Yeah,
I think it's our.
You'll forget about me after I've been gone. Until next week, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would say thank you, everybody, for listening in, and we hope that we started your Monday off correctly and set you up for a really good week. If you're listening midweek, finish strong, and if you're listening at the end of the week, you made it. Just like us finishing this podcast, we made it. It's time for the weekend. So rock and roll. Be safe, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week, everyone. Thanks for spending your time with us. And Ethan, I think we should be going now.
Yeah, let's go catch a beer and a game.
Absolutely. Let's do it, man.
All right, see you guys.
All right, everyone.